It's a new year, which means new movies, unless, of course, they get pushed back because we're still in the middle of a pandemic. But I wanted to gather 10 movies that I'm most excited for this year. And obviously, these could get moved around as the year goes on. And obviously, the actual dates these are going to get released could also get moved around, not just my opinion of them. But we're going to break down which 10 I'm excited for anyway. I tried to pick movies that have set release dates and aren't just going to be coming out in fall or spring of 2022, so they have actual set dates. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button down below and comment what you'd like to see me do next. So coming in at number 10 for me will be the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, which actually takes place right after the original, if I remember correctly. It's directed by David Blue Garcia, which I've never seen anything from him, but it's written by Fede Alvarez, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, and he did movies like Don't Breathe, and he also did Evil Dead Remake, which I also liked. Both of those movies are really good, so I have high hopes that with his writing, this movie can actually have a good story in comparison to all the other Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. This one could have been much higher, but because of the fact that it's a Netflix original, it makes me think the studio didn't have a lot of confidence, and that's why they're putting it on Netflix rather than the theater. But I guess we'll see where this goes. So number 9 is another horror movie from another well-known franchise, and it's Halloween Ends. So this movie, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, could have been higher, but Halloween Kills infuriated me so much. Obviously, I got what I wanted out of that movie, which was a lot of kills, but when I was sitting in the theater looking at all these story choices, I was getting very mad throughout the entire movie, and that's just not a fun experience. I have hopes that Halloween Ends will end off this trilogy nicely, which is why I have this in slot number 9, but I'm also kind of worried about what they're gonna do considering the ending of Halloween Kills. That's not to say any of these movies are bad. I like all the Halloween movies that have come out so far with this new trilogy, and hopefully that continues the trend with Halloween Ends, but I guess we'll see. At number 8, there's a little bit of a weird one that I did not expect to be here, but I've been excited for it purely because of the cast, and it's 355, which actually comes out today as of the day this video is being uploaded, not when I'm recording this. And I'm only excited for this movie purely because of the fact of the cast. So the cast in 355 is Jessica Chastain, Sebastian Stan, Penelope Cruz, and Lupita Nyong'o, which Nyong'o is from Us. She was really good in that movie, so that's who I'm most excited to see in this 355. 355 is basically another CIA spy movie, and I'm not really into those, but because the cast is so strong on this one, I am very excited to see how this movie plays out, and I hope it does well in the box office because I feel like we don't see enough of these original concepts anymore. I feel like everything's either a superhero movie or a big blockbuster franchise, and it's kind of nice to see these little movies that slip between the cracks that people get excited for, and that's why this one's at my number 8. Number 7 is one that I've kind of come around to recently, which is Jurassic World Dominion. I liked Jurassic World, and I didn't really like the next one after that, which I think was called Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I wasn't as big of a fan because it just felt kind of dumb to me. It didn't feel like Jurassic Park, but I am excited for this new one because it's literally just about dinosaurs in the real world now, which is fascinating to see because I've always wanted to see that dynamic of humans and dinosaurs coexisting rather than just being in a park. Also, some of the cast from the original is returning. Jeff Goldblum, which is hopefully going to be longer than his little thing he had in Fallen Kingdom, as well as Sam Neill, and as well as Laura Dern, which having these three back from the original means that something is going to be good about this movie. Otherwise, they wouldn't be wanting to do it, unless, of course, they got big paychecks, which is also a possibility. But I am actually looking forward to this movie. I haven't watched anything on it yet. I haven't seen any trailers. I know they released some little mini thing that I just didn't want to watch because I kind of want to go into this movie not knowing anything. So we'll see how I feel about this movie at the end of the year. So in my number 6 slot is The Batman, which is actually coming out soon. Could get moved because, you know, I don't even know if I can say that word on YouTube. I'm going to censor that just in case. This is now Robert Pattinson's take on Batman, which from the trailer, I am incredibly excited for. I think he does a good job at portraying the darkness of Batman, and this feels like an actual Batman from the comics that is dark and brooding, rather than what Ben Affleck brought to the table, although I did really like Ben Affleck. This is directed by Matt Reeves. He did some of the Planet of the Apes movies, as well as I think he did all the Cloverfield movies, and those were decent, so I'm hoping that this Batman movie is really good. If it's anything like the trailer, I think it'll be pretty good. Number 5 is actually one I'm seeing next week, Scream. I've got mixed feelings on this movie. I'm glad the original cast is back. It still kind of irritates me it's not called Scream 5. I'm very worried about this movie purely because it's the first Scream movie without Wes Craven's help. Although Radio Silence really did make a good movie with Ready or Not, so I'm hoping that they can bring all the energy they put into Ready or Not and bring it into this Scream movie. One of the things that worried me about the trailer for the Scream movie is purely the fact that it didn't feel very comedic, and I'm worried that this movie is going to take more of a straight-up slasher approach rather than your typical Scream meta-ness, right? Is that the word, meta-ness? Meta-ness? Anyway, I am excited to see this movie. I'm seeing it next Thursday, so I'm very pumped for that. And at the end of the day, I'm still a Scream fan, so I think I'll really like this movie, even if most people don't. We'll see. I guess only time will tell. Number 4 is actually going to piss off one of my friends. I'm very excited to see Uncharted. I know a lot of people are going to get mad, but I mean, come on, it's Mark Wahlberg and it's Tom Holland. What more could you ask for? I think the only problem this movie has is having Tom Holland break out of his typical, typecast of Spider-Man. I feel like every time I see Tom Holland in something, I'm always envisioning Spider-Man, and I'm kind of hoping this movie doesn't do that, but already from the trailers, I'm like, oh, that's Spider-Man doing this. So let's see if he actually takes on the form of Nathan Drake in a way that feels authentic. But I think Mark Wahlberg as Sullivan, I think is perfect. I'm excited to see how he does there. It does look like an entertaining movie. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's not like the game or this and that. It does look like a good movie. All right, now we're down to the final 3, which these are the 3 movies that I'm most excited for this year. In number 3, we have Thor: Love and Thunder, which is very surprising for me because I really don't like Marvel movies as much as most people do. But I love Thor, and I really want to see what they do with his character in this movie. I didn't like how they handled him in Endgame, but honestly, it wasn't the end of the world to me. So I am excited to see what they do with Thor, and I guess now this female Thor that's coming from the comic books. Taika Waititi's directing this movie, which is why this movie's so high on my list. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't even be on here. But I love Taika Waititi's directing skills, and I can't wait to see what he can bring to the Thor movies. In the number 2 slot is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. I know, Part 1. There's going to be a second. I'm pumped already. But I didn't see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse when it was in theaters. I saw it a year later on Netflix or something, and it was a really good movie. I was kind of disappointed I didn't go into theaters to see it, and that's why I'm very excited for this new one, because it's one I'm going to go into the theaters to see. I want to see more Spider-Man characters come out of this that we have from the comics as well as from the MCU and Sony's editions. I would like to see a big merging of basically everything Spider-Man, and I have a feeling that's what this movie is going to bring to the table, considering it's going to be done in 2 parts. I also absolutely love Miles Morales, and I really just want to see his character be continued just in general, whether it be in these Spider-Verse movies or even in a Sony Spider-Man movie, which would be awesome to see. So that's why this one's at my number 2. All right, now the one you've all been waiting for is my number 1. My number 1 is going to Jordan Peele's Nope. This is Jordan Peele's 3rd directed horror movie, and I loved his other 2, which were Get Out and Us. He does such a great job capturing what I love about horror, which is the visuals and the energy you can bring into your scares. I don't know anything about this Nope movie, and I'm hoping to keep it that way. Out of all the movies on this list, this is the one I'm going to try my hardest to skip any trailers or any articles about, because I just want to go into this without knowing anything. I think I would have enjoyed Us much more if I had gone in not knowing anything, but of course I watched the trailers, you get the whole spoiler of it, and it wasn't as fun. It was a great movie, don't get me wrong. I still absolutely love the movie. It's still one of my favorite horror movies ever, but I feel like I would have enjoyed it even more if I had gone in not knowing anything, so that's what the approach I'm taking on this Nope is. I'm very excited to see where this goes, and I hope it doesn't get delayed. One thing I do know about this movie is that Steven Yeun's in it, and I love Steven Yeun. I've seen him in Mayhem, The Walking Dead. He's a great actor, and I can't wait to see what his role in this movie is going to be. So those are the 10 films I'm most excited to see in 2022. Comment down below what yours are, whether you agree with me or not, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!